and after that he completed his PhD from IIT Roorkee, and he has served at various locations, including postdoctoral researcher and scientist at Institute for Information Research, Singapore. And last year he had joined the School of Mathematics and Computer Science at IIT Goa. So it is nice to connect with you, Dr. Sheetla, and I hope your interactive talk with our students will be encouraging them for higher studies and for doing something innovative in their career.
Sure.
So without taking much time, I will request you to start your talk.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your kind words. Yeah. So maybe I can share my screen first so that it's visible there. Is it visible to you?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, sure. So thank you for inviting me. And yeah, it's quite long time we had interactions after 2011. I left my IIT, triple IT Allahabad. So we are meeting now. So as the current agenda of this talk will be something related to computer vision and HCI in the industrial applications. So this will be a very normal talk. I will try not to include any mathematics here so that I don't want to make you bored, but I'll just make few things where you can think of or imagine yourself like doing further studies or going into the research department, right? So before that, I'll try to get a glimpse of our past memories. So just to have a brief introduction about myself, as Professor Anupam has already mentioned, I'm assistant professor at IIT Goa, and previously I was a senior scientist at A-STAR, which is a government body of Singapore, and before that I was scientist one. Before that, I was a research fellow in NTU, working with a cybersecurity team in Singapore. Your CID, MHA, and other teams were involved in this, so we worked with that. And before that, I was in France working with CNRS, that is also a government-funded central research. And I did my PhD, as Sir already mentioned, from IIT Roorkee in discipline of computer science engineering, and masters from, yeah, of course, triple IT Allahabad. And yeah, followed before that I was BTech from ILM. And currently I am IEEE senior member, also a recipient of niche skill allowances in AI from AI Singapore, and also a recipient of Young Researcher Award in Computational Intelligence Society from IIT Kanpur chapter, MHRD, CNRS, and MSR research recipient scholarship. And followed by that, I was also merited by NTPC Rehan. And the other organizations, I conducted many conferences in Singapore, which was related to biometrics and other computer vision or machine learning. Then several best papers and the list of publications of journals and the conferences. I also have 2 patents under review and 1 license to be signed yet, and the reviewers of few top conferences in computer vision, and have some talks in IIT Kanpur and Indore and other place venues. So this is just a brief to show. My research interests are mostly related to computer vision, as you have seen. They focus mostly on object detection, text recognitions, and natural object identification analysis. Mostly I deal with the deep learning things. Deep learning also, like, we work on traditional, instead of having a traditional training, we work on some kind of lightweighted training, so that we don't have to have a heavy computation power, or we don't have to have a huge number of data. We work with biometrics and biomedical data using some kind of augmentations, where we have data limitations. We work with multi-view representations where an object can look like a different object when we view it from different views, different angles. And of course, SCI, which is my specializations. I worked with various other big projects, which is apart from your PhDs, apart from my PhD. So I worked with them and have some outputs regarding that in terms of publications or patents. And yeah, these are the research showcase which I was representing in NTU and Singapore A Star. Various several bodies were there involved, and this was a 2020's situation, that was travel revive, when we were thinking of how to revive our travels because of the COVID hit. So we need to have some solutions where we can monitor things. So this was like a media press release, where our softwares were like demoed, and several articles we have. This is not the limited, but we have many others, which is related to mostly in computer vision and object detections and real traffic analysis. Yeah, more to go, but let's just stop it. So you can always check for me by searching on Google right now, and also have some very interesting paper, that is your agriculture as a service. We proposed us in cloud computing, where agriculture can be seen as a service, and farmers or agro industry based things can do or can take a service from these platforms. So I'll be talking about a few of the interesting things of mine, but before that, let me go through memory walk back to Triple IT Allahabad. I joined in 2009 July, somewhere like this, that time. And yeah, of course, there is an L missing at that time. I hope now it is correct. We had our colleagues, and then we had our lab. So just to recap the things, like how I spent my time in Triple IT Allahabad. I hope now the situations will be like much better. Earlier also it was good, but now I think things might have changed, or the names of the labs or infrastructures might have improved. This is our fresher in 2009. We had some good memories there, some kind of plays, dance. Yeah, so we, at the time of stay in Triple IT Allahabad, we organized several conferences, such as ISCI and IITM. So we were like a kind of student organization under the guidance of Professor Anupam sir. You can see his involvement over here. So we had good interactions at that time, and then now because of like other further studies, we did not have much touch, but we still uh, contact each other whenever we need each other. So that was a good fun. Thanks, Anupam sir. This thing is like, I'd want to just show you. During my master's thesis, we actually worked with several things in our SILP lab, where I think, is it still called SILP lab? Not so sure. Uh, but probably if it is still SILP lab, that lab was having some kind of AR VR devices, where you have hand gloves and use those gloves, or head mounted display, eye gaze things, and we used to play with them, and we come up with some kind of probable solutions where we can replace some standard devices, input devices or output devices, with these kind of AR VR tools. So instead of using your mouse, you can use your data glove and can control it from anywhere within the Wi-Fi zone. So you can use it wirelessly and use your operations. So that's what we actually used to do. At that time, we used some kind of traditional machine learning like SVM and other things to train the pattern of our data gloves, and then use it for our interactions. Say, for example, in this one, we are opening some kind of folders and then doing some performance. Here, we are zooming in and out of photos, and then we play with it. So it's basically kind of like replacing your standard mouse input with a data glove. So then finally done with the convocation in 2011. And yeah, after that I visited IIIT Allahabad in 2013 in IITM. That was a conference organized by IIIT Allahabad. So I visited there as a student in a student contest. So these are my students, master students and bachelor students. So I took them there to a contest, student project contest, and then we were lucky enough to beat the other teams, and then we won for there. So here Anupam sir and me, we are interacting with the results and other things, discussing some further collaborations. And yeah, so this was like a kind of demo in IITM where our students were demonstrating their projects and also describing the contents, how it works. So these are our foreign delegates at that time. They visited and then they were interested in our software. So that software was basically a PALM-based, AI-based PALM identification. And based on that, we also took this project to the next level. That was like to IBM Research, IBM iCare 2013. There we were like a second runner-up. So this is a screenshot for that. And also we had a best paper award at CISP 2013. Yeah. So that was like a part of walkthrough from IIIT Allahabad. After that, I went to IIT Roorkee for my further studies. I did my PhD there. Then I went to France, did my postdoc there. Then I went to Singapore, NTU for second postdocs, and then continued as a scientist in Singapore under umbrella of A-STAR. A-STAR is basically a Ministry of Home Affairs in Singapore body. It's a government body. And then finally decided to come back to India. So like 3 months back, I joined IIT Goa. So yeah, so after that, I'm right now here. And yeah, that's the journey of how I started from IIIT Allahabad to landed to IIT Goa. And now I'll talk about something related to my research work. Maybe it might be interested to a few of you. So you can also ask some questions if you feel like. So this project was something like where you can see an object from different views, and luckily or unluckily, these views might change for the same object. So the problem with our current AI solution is like whatever data you are feeding in, the network will learn that thing. But if you are not feeding anything, any new data, the network will fail in that case. So we were trying to do solve some kind of situations where unseen objects or unseen views of an object can be or should be able to recognize to some extent. So this work is something like this, where you can see you can see in this, it's the same object, but if the view is changed, the object shape is completely changed. So if you train your AI based on this view, will always fail for these kind of views. So we need to train almost all the views, and there are like 360 views from top, bottom, side, and other angles. So it's not possible every time we can have such a huge number of data where every view has been covered. Or there might be some situations where some views are close enough to some other views. Say, for example, if this object is something like circular from one angle, there's another object which is circular from the other angle. So how to correlate, or how to make these two objects separate enough? Those kind of tasks are being tackled in this paper. So we somehow we did a little bit good justifications. So there can be situations where your same instance, but different views can be different. But sometimes same objects, different instance can be different, and different objects has, of course, different things. So this is very easy. Different object can be identified, but same objects with almost two different shapes from different angles, it's very difficult to tackle them, because you cannot create a space. You cannot create a space with so many different views, and still you can have a clear boundary. when you know that these shapes, they have some common views. So this is what challenge we had at that time, and we tackled it. And that's sorry, I think my PowerPoint got restarted. Hold on.
Yeah, you have to reshare it, I think.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. Hold on. I'm just going to that point. Is it visible now?
Not yet. Yes, it is opening.
It's visible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. So the task is something to identify objects from different views when the condition is like the second view or the third view is not being given, not been feeded. So it's a kind of like unseen views. So we have something, we propose a problem, solution where there is a data set of, and one instance from the bigger data set is being taken, and then that sorry that object is been trained to a network using some kind of deep learning, and then the feature vectors has been created, and then we have calculated the best loss. But here the loss calculation is in such a way that we involve a multi-loss function, multi-loss for the same task. So you have you can just imagine a kind of classroom situations where a teacher is feeding the same informations to several students, but among those students, few students are getting better results and few students are getting a little bit lower results. So something like the same situation. So we have several loss functions where few loss functions are giving good results, few loss functions are having larger number of error rates. So we have to select the best results, best case where the loss is actually minimized, minimum, and then use that loss to train the network again. In the such a way, like you can imagine there might be a class where there is 10 students and we have 5 subjects, but there might be not a situation where one student is good enough in all the 5 subjects. So there might be situations where one student is good in some subject, one subject is the other student is good in other subjects. So same situation here. There might be a student or there might be a loss functions which is good enough to correlate your loss for a particular given instance. Say for example, can be able to identify your say for example washer, and the other student is good enough to identify your nuts from different views, different angles. So similarly, we use all those things and then club them together and then form a global classifier to classify those objects without seeing them. And then we use this first phase of training and add more data to the same network and then feed it on. And the addition will be in such a way that you are going to increase your number of views, not number of instances. So for example, in case if you have trained your network, say for example your data set is size of 100 is category, and the view is for example the view is only for 4. So at the next level of training, that is your second phase of training, we try to increase the number of views without increasing the number of instances. So instead of 4, we use 6. Later, then we use 8, and then 12. In such a way that this 6 will also include this 4, so that our embedded space will not be disturbed. So whatever space we have already learned, it won't be disturbed because we are just going to add in more views. So it will like create more things. I'm just drawing it for your understanding, right? So this is what we used, and we have some results for our scene classes, where the scene classes is performing outstanding from the state bench of the mark. And then we also tried it for our unseen classes, where you can see the standard benchmark is something like over here. But our performance was much better, which is our this yellow color one, quite good enough. So you can see a clear margin. So this is what a small concept, a small thing like your classroom concept has been adopted in our artificial network. So basically our ANN is getting information similar to like our BNN is actually working. So we just use a small trick, and then the network is performing very good. We have like almost 10% of boosts with the same concept. So here we have further things. We analyzed our performance based on different set of databases. So our batch size is a little bit modified in such a way that it can a little bit more give more outperformance, and we had a good justification here. So the margin is quite good. So if you play with your batch sizes for unseen and seen, your network is still performing much better. So that's what we did, some kind of regression studies, and to quantify the analysis, I can show you this thing now. We tested with different models. If you are aware of deep learning things, then we have different models in deep learning, VGG and EfficientNet and IResNet and the other ResNets. So we competed with them, and we use the same concept, and we saw that the performance is not only improving in one model, but it's also helping to improve the performance of other models also with the same concept. And your computation cost is like day by day reducing it. And this is like some quantitative results where you can compare the percentage, and we can have a clear idea, like, yeah, of course this kind of concepts actually works. But the question is, these concepts works only when you have a good number of data sets from different views. When you have a particular view and those views are passing in to the network from over a time, not in a one go, but over a time, then your network is performing good. But what if like you have a very limited number of data sets and you don't have too many things to input? Then how to perform? In that case, we need to have some concepts where we can have only few shot learning. You give only one view, or you give only 5 views, but you are asking the network to identify 100 views of the same objects. So in that case, we have to have a situation where your few things can be a part of like key playing things, where your object can be identified using those key points. So we use something like a point cloud concepts, where your object, instead of having a spatial informations, we are going to plot them into a dotted matrix, that is your point cloud. So your same object will be landed up into points. So here you can see a chair. I think you cannot see on the screen, but let me draw it. It's basically a chair, and this one is a kind of a bottle, which is in a point cloud. So the good thing of a point cloud is it's actually trying to outline the objects based on the uh, edges of the objects, and then also tries to give you an extra informations where the object is mostly dense. So for example, if the object has a blade, so for example, this is an aeroplane, so object has a blade, so the blades will be having more points. So those things are more important. So we are going to try to learn these things in these informations and make our network in such a way that even if we don't have a complete view of this object, we can still be able to remember that this is the aeroplane from these points. So in traditional, what we do is we try to train a network using these spatial informations, your original image informations, and we come up with a network with theta 1. And other approaches, you train the network, a separate network with point clouds, and come up with the theta p, and then later you merge these two things together to come up with a single embedding space where you can identify both your image as well as your points together. But the problem in this is like these two, you can see that these two things are like these two images are totally different. One is spatial information, other is like point cloud. If you merge these two embedding space together, maybe you will ended up into a separate embedding space which doesn't have any correlation between each other. So this object and this object doesn't have any correlation. So how can you merge them together? The question was that. So what we try to do is like we try to learn only one embedding space using both the informations together in such a way that they are not being overruling each other. So once you learn the cup with a complete texture pattern, we need to also learn the same cup with a cloud matrix. This is the thing which we have. So here, all the informations are not so important. So only these green things are important. So only these things will be fed into the network, and then the network is learning to identify only these things. So whenever the network sees only these, can identify. So from any view, no matter from which view the cup is being viewed seen, the network will be able to identify to some extent, and then will give you the results based on that. Right. So this is the results where you can see like one shot 5-way is outperforming compared to the other state of the art methods. This is the results of our mine. So you can see like the improvement is quite good enough to say like only one shot is enough. You just need to have a point cloud, and then it's able to identify. Yeah, that's one part. The next part is like in a real industry, we also have a challenge of object identifications, but those objects are very shining things, or maybe like your pipe. You can imagine those pipes are very shiny when you take a picture, and the text over it might help you to identify them. So we had one project in this. We need to identify those texts which is hard to be detected, but still can be part of it. So the challenge in that is like we had a problem of labeling. So there can be, say, imagine three labelers we have, labeler 1 and labeler 2, labeler 3, and they have been given a task to label the text instances in a image, right? So one labeler first is very good enough to label each and every text instance separately. So every text instance has a bounding box. So that's a good enough. We want it in that way. But the second labeler was lazy that he did uh, bounding boxes to some extent, to some few text visible text instances, but he actually missed few text instances. So you have something like instead of having uh, several instances, he just missed them all. Whichever is visible to him, he just only plotted them. So if you feed these two things in, the network will always be confused. The third labeler was even more lazy, that he just draw a single bounding box for several text instances. So you can just imagine, like, if you feed these kind of wrong informations to a network, how what is it going to learn? In this case, the network was going to learn very good. I mean, the network was converging, but suddenly when he sees something like this or like this, the network gets again confused. So in that case, the learning graph will be, instead of converging like this, the graph will be something like trapped into local minima somewhere, and then it can never converge because of these wrong informations, these noisy inputs. So that's why we need to learn, or we need to make sure that the object is, whatever we are going to identify, the object is very much correlated. Say, for example, if I show you these two images, you can say like, okay, there is one written over here on the text, and there is one M over here. But if you see a complete view of this picture, you will be like confused. This is not basically one; it's just a mark on a carrot, small carrot, which is a part of a plate, dining plate. And this M is basically a scarf of a lady when you see a objects near brown. So the concept is like, you need, instead of seeing only those things which you want to see, you have to always see the surrounding pixels, so that you can make sure your information is correct enough, right? And similarly, here you can see there is a J character written here, but if you see a complete picture, it's basically a trunk of an elephant. So you can always imagine a situation where you are getting some information, but that information is not so correct because you are not seeing the surrounding pixels, surrounding informations. So you have to have a surrounding informations to come up to a conclusion that this is your foreground or background. So AI is like very easy to be confused. So if you just give this cropped image, it will always say the, oh, it's a character J. But if you give this complete image, should be able to say like, this is not a character. This is just a coincidence, like your object is being shaped as a text, but it's not a text. So we come up to a solution where we can train these things and make sure that our network or intelligence is good enough to recognize whether this is a character text instances or a part of a natural object. So here you can see the thing is being zoomed over here. So you can see like there is a road grill, and the road grill shape is something like NN, small NN. So for some standard ANN network or machine learning, they will think like this is a text instance of written NNN, but actually that they are the part of road grills, so cannot be a text instance. So if we know that this complete scene is a natural view of a road, then we can know that there might be a part of grills can be a part of something, and so in that case it cannot be a text instance. So you're basically creating kind of hierarchical informations, right? So for that we need to come up with a database where this kind of hierarchical informations should be stored. So there was till that time there was no database, so we have created our own data set, database which was called as NTU UTOI. Basically UTOI means like a unconstrained text and object database. So it has something like around uh, 111,000 bounding boxes for text instances, which includes your English, Chinese, and digits, right? So here the thing is like your particular given image is being divided into positive and negative classes. Positive and negative classes for text instances. So where the text can be probability is high, where the text can be probability is low. Those things has been annotated, and then the network has learned those things. So network is knowing that okay, this image has a person, and the person has a cloth, and the person has a cloth. Then there might be possibility that there is a logo, and if there is a logo, then there might be a possibility of having a text instance. So it's a kind of like hierarchy. Your person, then your cloth, and then your logo, then your logo to text. So we are going in that way. So in this case, we will be like 100% sure that whatever we have or the network has detected is correct, right? So that's way we have to understand and learn. So instead of traditional method, we learn in this way. So we what we did is like we learned a detector to detect the object instances, several object instances. Say for example, car rear, car front, car plate, text, Chinese text digits, roads, maps, and the buildings, the bus numbers, and other things. They were being like trained as an object informations, and then these object informations further being used as a as a attention mechanism for our text detector. This is your text detector. This is your object detector. This is your text detector. This object detector is basically a weight copied from or knowledge copied from your previous model, which is already been trained on object detection. So this knows that which object is what, but instead of having our last layer like that knowledge of I mean, the network doesn't know. Here, the network doesn't know that this is a car or this is a bus. The network only knows that this is a car, positive reason. This is a bus, positive reason. This is a tree, which is a negative reason. So only the negative and positive will be known here, fitted here. So that positive negative will try to act as an attention mechanism to your text detector, and the text detector will try to focus only on text and no text. That is your background. So in that case, whenever it's going to detect anything, it will detect almost with higher confidence rate that this is text instances. So this will somewhat try to solve those situations which you have seen in previous case. Like instead of saying elephant trunk as a J character, they'll say like this is elephant. So the trunk J is basically a false alarm. So here the challenge was like when you are clubbing two different detectors together, you can imagine like the information is like totally lost. Your original information was totally lost. So you do not have any original information for this TD, that is your text detector. So what we did is like we try to use a glass hour approach where your original information has been passed to the text detector in such a way that your object detector is going to act as an attention mechanism. So here when the text detector is going to see an image, it will see some attention mechanisms where the positive class and negative classes being fitted together, and then the detector is going to give you an output. So that will be like working in a get good way. So here is then just an example where you can see positive and negative classes. So this is the original image, and this one is just a plot of positive and negative attention mechanisms where text can be or text cannot be. So this is a qualitative results where you can see our network is performing much better than the other state-of-the-art methods. Yeah, this one is on our standard data sets which we have proposed. This one is on COCO data set, which is already publicly available. And these are some qualitative results where you can see the detector is working very good, that it can even detect these things, which is even missed by a human eyes, that there is a text over here can be missed by human eyes and still can, detector can recognize. This can be recognized, which is very small. This can be recognized. So this is thing like how if we know the object relationship, object and text relationship, then we can easily, how the network can be easily able to detect it. So these are some randomly selected images where the network was not being trained on Hindi language. as you know, have already seen, like the network is only trained on English and Chinese character. So here there is a situation where the image has Hindi characters, but still the network is doing a good justifications. Something like a blurry images still doing a good justifications. Here I can show you some. I think I'm running short of time, so I'll quickly come up. Here I can show you one very good example where our concept is actually going to help. It's similar to our human brain, how we do it. Like we see an object, say for example, some person coming from a distance. We cannot see his face, his or her face. We can only see his or her clothes pattern or walking pattern, that is your gait pattern, and then we can somewhat correlate that maybe this is my friend or not. Then later he comes, or he or she comes closer to me. We are able to see his or her face, and then we can make sure that's good enough. So in that way, same way, we are going to use it. It's a kind of hierarchical information transferring, and then we can know. So here also we are going to use the same way. This is an image which has been projected by a normal standard detector, text detector. And then you can see, like when we introduce negative and positive classes, our performance is getting better or worse. You can see when we introduce a positive class, the network performance is a little bit improved. So the confidence was 95, but when we introduce a positive class, the confidence was increased to 97%. So that means like there is a car, so definitely there will be a car plate, and then definitely there will be a text instance. So that's a kind of positive information to us. So that will basically improve the performance or of the text instance confidence. Similarly, like this, when we introduce a negative class, then the performance is getting lower down. So when we introduce a negative class over the text instances, the performance is like completely lower down from 95 to 97 for the positive class, but it went back to 86 when we have a negative class information. So this is actually going to help you to understand the concept that how the positive and negative things actually goes and help. So this is one real scenario where I think I can play this video if possible. Okay, let me try to play this if it is playable. Yeah, this video you can see. It's a real-time video where you can the same concept is being adopted. On your left side, you can see the detection with some kind of confidence, and on your right side, you can see the detections with some kind of text over it. So the network is trying to read them also. So instead of just detecting them, the network is also trying to read those text instances, which is actually going to help in some kind of cybercrime tracking or sometimes some kind of something. So, that part I cannot disclose anything. So those things can be used. Nextly, we have some kind of objectives where our real requirement was seen. We have a situation of COVID, and suddenly we had new surge, so we need to wear mask, and that mask should be like being monitored. So we need to come up with the proposals where you can instantly create within a 10 to 15 days. You can create a kind of solutions where the network or the AI can be used to monitor a person wearing mask in a correct way, or like lower down if the mask is lowered to their chin, nose, or something. So the challenge here was like we do not have a lot of data, and we do not have a lot of time to create those data sets. So how can we use something where these solutions can be used? So we have to come up with a solution where network is being trained on a very small data sets, but doing a good justifications to our overall community. There are different types of shapes of colors, mask colors, shapes, different types of masks. There are different types of skin colors are there. So it's difficult to come up with a single solution. So we have to propose a solution in such a way that it can work for all colors, face colors, all face mask colors, all types of face masks, and then give a result. So we come up with a semi-supervised things where you have to train your network with a very small data set, which is actually being labeled by a human being. That's like 100% correct. Then you come up with a network model and use that network model to label the unlabeled data from the over the internet, because at that time you had so much of data coming from several media. So we use those media images, and use our pre-trained model, which is actually trained on a very small data set, and then use those unlabeled images to label, and then use some threshold, that is your greater than something like 0.9. If they are greater than 0.9 confidence, then we use it as a positive model, sorry, positive image, positive labels, and then train our network again and again and over a time. And then in that case, we come up with a solution where your actual label data was very small, but your unlabeled data, which you have labeled using your ANN, and then proposing a solution which was much better. So here your Y accuracy is basically improved now with a very small data set. So your small data set is like now giving you a higher accuracy. So that can be like very much easily adopted to any solution. So within to 10 to 15 days, it was ready, and then it was like being deployed to do the monitoring kind of thing. So this was like a scenario where Singapore government has to do some kind of manipulation. So we use these things, and then these are some images where our model was doing. So yellow box was something like the person has a mask, but red box was the person where doesn't have a mask. So we need to separate them out. So once the person without mask is there, then that person's face has been like recorded and then matched to our complete database, and then has to be like send an alert or something to that particular person. And also has to calculate the age. Like for example, this person is this baby is very small, so cannot wear a mask. So have to also have kind of conditions where the age is of person has been calculated or estimated, and then can be forgiven. So as an output, you can see there is a real-time video. This was being deployed in a Jetson Nano, that's a low computing device. So it can be easily adopted in any place, like any supermarket or anywhere, and then can be like monitored very easily, right? So that's how we actually try to do it. So we need to think we need to come up with the solutions where these things can be part of. So whenever we think to come up with a solution, we have to think these kind of problems, and then these problems, how we are going to solve them with a minimum effort, but the performance would be like good enough to be deployed. So last slide is takeaway kind of things. So here we all know that the real world is a non-linear. So therefore, the solution or the problem will also be a non-linear. So we have to come up with the solution which is non-linear, very, very complicated. So we have to think of these kind of hierarchies, dependence, derivatives of informations, and then propose it. So what I think from my knowledge is like these kind of human intelligence, or sorry, machine intelligence can be like a part of our future. So where machines can help us or can assist us very closely, and the performance and the confidence rate is much, much higher than our real intelligence, like our even higher than our normal BNN, right? So that's what we are doing here. So yeah, that's it from my part, Professor Sir. Yeah, that's it from my part.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sheetla. It was really very interesting problems you have discussed, 3 problems, and all the 3 problems were having very practical relevance, and they were very interesting. And probably I would like to ask students, if they have any query, please you feel free to ask. Please unmute yourself and you may ask any query.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, Gopal, do you want to ask anything?
Can I say something, Professor Anupam?
Yes, please, madam.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether Sheetla knows me or not, but just a little introduction that I had been associated with IIIT Allahabad right from day one. Okay, and I'm still continuing.
Nice.
You gave a very, very informative, very nice presentation.
Thank you.
And it's very interesting to know that all the progress being done in the specific field of imaging, that's a very important field. But I'm interested specifically in biomedical imaging. That known methods like MRI or ultrasound or X-rays, all those are well known. And now people are investigating imaging for prognosis of certain diseases, specifically cancer, because cancers are not detected, by symptoms.
True.
So internal, if there is a cancer in the internal this thing, then prognosis becomes very important, because then you can start the treatment earlier. So I'm interested to know that you have done so much in imaging. I mean, how can these methods you can help in? Some people are doing thermal imaging. I mean, going into deep into the tissues and organs, and then finding the temperature difference, and then concluding something. So I want to know that how far research has been done in imaging of these, for prognosis of diseases.
Thank you for asking these questions. Luckily, I can answer this question because I have just started a project here, a part of research project here. We're actually working on confocal images for the cells, which are tentative to be as cancer cell. We have generated our own. We have a lab here. We generate those tissues, which is part of cancer, that cancer cells. So we are working on that. How far we can say, like, of course, it's a very difficult question to answer, how far we have reached and how far we are going to go. But there are some research going on in this directions too, in imaging, where the very early stage of your cancer case can be detected. So we are trying to generate those, trying to create a kind of AI which is being trained in such a way that it can create or can predict that can predict that the future of this cell can be positively cancer cell or can be a negatively cancer cell. So I mean, in that sense, the AI is actually going to help you out, like saying that whether this cell is or going to be a cancer cell. So we are learning those things, we are training those things, and I'm also working in that particular project. So maybe not today, but maybe in the next presentations I can give you some very good results for those cancer cells also, where we can early stage can detect those cancers. But yeah, of course, the limitation here is you have to have those cells right now. Using thermal image, I think it cannot be 100% correct, like this person is having or going to have a cancer cell.
Yeah, no method is 100% correct. Like MRI also, I think that depends on the environment of protons, how protons in the tissue, they change, the environment changes. So depending upon the environment of the proton, you get signals.
True.
From that they detect.
True.
So,
yeah. So
I think by your listening to your lecture, I can feel that these imaging can be applied. That would be very, very helpful. Yeah, I'm happy that you are doing a project on that.
Oh, that's nice.
I'll be happy to know the progress.
Okay, sure. So once I have the progress, I think maybe in that case I can share with you, and then we can think of further collaborations. If
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, in fact, we wish actually some collaborative research also. So I think biomedical imaging is a very important area where our IIIT is also having, courses at the PG level, and undergraduate also are doing projects in that. So there is a good possibility we can have collaboration with your institute. Okay, so please, we can work out in what level we can further collaborate. Maybe research faculty members of both the institutes can form a research group and they can work together. On some
that will be good. Yeah.
And I wish that our students should also get some advice if they need from time to time. So probably our MTech students, a lot of MTech students have joined, who are doing, I think many of them are doing projects related to deep learning and image processing related projects. And I think they might have got a lot of good ideas. In fact, you discussed about lightweight, training and these things. So probably that is good idea in present scenario.
Actually, why we wanted that kind of things now is because training is very, very complicated. And once you have, even you have a very perfect model, it's very difficult for us to deploy it. At the time of deployment, there is a cost. So you need to have some kind of model which is like very feasible, can be deployed on your handset device or can be deployed on your just a web camera sensor. So we don't have to model those things. I mean, we don't have to have an extra device for those things. So that's why we wanted to work with edge computing things and come up with a solution where lightweighted things can be possible.
Okay, so I think that is very interesting. And any other our student member, please feel free to ask question if you have. Don't have any hitch to ask any question, because he is your senior batch student only, and you can always have a good relation in future also. So please feel free to ask any question you have.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, Sidra sir.
Yeah, hi Gopal.
Yeah, I'm Gopal this side. I'm a PhD scholar under Professor Anam sir.
Yeah, hi.
So I'm about to submit my thesis. So I just wanted to know about some postdoctoral opportunities in Easter. You already worked many few years you have done, I think.
Yeah. I was at Easter and US NTU. I was there.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, there is a good possibility to have postdocs there, depending upon the nature of your publications. Of course, publication is important because there's a higher study. So, if you have a good publications in particular date, of course there can be. And I can, if you want, I can hook up with some of the members in your area. So in that you can contact them and then they can have.
Yeah, he is working in basically brain-computer interface area, analysis of EEG signals, and he has, I think, 5 or more, SCI journal publications and 7, 8 conference publications related to his research.
Okay.
And he has copyrighted many things, so he is doing very good. Okay. And probably you can also help him to have good postdoctoral position in reputed, maybe in India or some other good place.
Yeah, I do have. Yeah, of course. Maybe you can, you can mail me or something separately. Then I can try to connect with.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Definitely.
Yeah, that will be.
Is there any recently you have joined this IIT Goa? So is there any possibilities to collaborate with you jointly working or any?
Yeah, I'm actually right now. Of course, we can collaborate as for a research articles for sure. But I do not have a full-fledged project in my hand because it's very new. So I'm still waiting for my projects to be approved. And once I have that project approved, I think, yeah, of course, I'm free to take any JRF or research.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I'll definitely mail you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. All the best for your project.
Thank you.
Yes, any other student, please feel free to ask question because most of you are MTech students. I'm observing from the list, and you all have, research basically work you are doing in your thesis. So please feel free to ask anything.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to all of you. Sir, my name is Shyam Dangre. Sir, my question is, what are the career options after post-graduating from SCI?
First and most, like, what do you think? Do you want to go into the industrial area or do you want to go into the further research areas? Of course, there are high chances in research because SCI is like one of the demanding things, not only in European countries, but also now India is also having this SCI concept. So of course, in research, like in Google, IBM, of course, there are researchers who are working in SCI field. So you can go into that directions, industry, as well as you can go for PhDs. So PhD is, of course, open for all. So both PhD as well as your industry area, they seek someone from SCI background, someone who is knowledgeable of these kind of tools and techniques, and can like adopt things. So if you have a good knowledge in this field, I think it's not a problem for you to go in, whether in industry or in academia. So it will be good for you in both the directions. So you can go in both directions.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any further question?
Actually, is anybody working in your area related to these diseases like COVID-related identification or these things. I mean, new variants are coming. So, anybody working in your institute related to that work? COVID identification through various modes are there, like chest X-ray images or CT scan images, many things. So, is anybody working in related to that area?
You're asking to me, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, of course, in A-Star, we do have some kind of patented things, solutions over this period. So we had some cough related things, solutions where vision based as well as your thermal based detections was being proposed, and then was also like copyrighted and patented. So what they do is like they come up with a solution where a person is coughing, then can identify that whether this is like positive or negative, can also have an chest x-rays, and then can detect whether it is a positive cases for COVID, and different variants also. So the good thing is like the different variants can also be identified by those things. So yes, A-Star do have this kind of team, and those teams are doing very good, and also been nominated from Singapore government. So if you want, I can share those publications also. Few of them are publicly available, but a few are like confidential.
Please share those publications, particularly those who are related with new variants, if you have some work done, because one of my research scholar is actually working on that area.
Okay.
So he's I think that will be beneficial if you share.
Is it working on the chest images or drug patterns? Because there are two teams. Other team is also working on the drugs based. So they are actually working on the DNA sequences of the.
No, he is mostly working in computer vision point of view.
Okay. Then it's okay. So, I can share that.
But he has good knowledge about data analytics and other domains. So both the things he has good knowledge. He is also passed out from IIIT only, MTech.
Okay.
So he is as a working professional. So if you send some good papers, probably it will be helpful to him. And also, if you can connect with your team members, some good team member there, if you are personally knowing that fellow is working.
That will be good enough. Like if he is capable, I think he can directly go there and interact with them, and then can work with them together. So maybe for a month or 2 months or so. Yeah.
So please send me the publication as well as the email IDs and these URLs, their homepage, maybe details, so that they can discuss, and maybe a visit may be planned to go there.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Professor Anupam, I will like to know about these variants of COVID as you are discussing. I mean, from their sequence, is there any method now known by which you can sort of distinguish between the toxicity of these, which one is more harmful, which one is not that harmful? From the sequence, can you guess?
Yeah, it is actually, your question is really that we should look into, I think those things we are going to, because he has just started his work, so probably he will take your advice, maybe look into this aspect in a more detail.
Sequences, I think, can be correlated with some physical properties, so for early detection. If that can be done, that will give you a lot of good ideas about the new, because so many variants are coming,
many variants.
So I think
the problem with these variants are sometimes they are not. The symptoms is not visible, so it's difficult to exactly correlate with the symptoms.
Because now methods are known, you can determine the sequence within, if not minutes, then hours. You can determine any sequence.
At DNA level, you can, of course.
Yeah. So if you know the DNA sequences, can you correlate with some of the properties?
Yes, I think for that part, I think already we have some medical teams who can say that this sequence is something, so they can predict, but they can only predict. Because there are different bodies who's reacting on differently. So they can predict like, okay, this like the last case we had, what was that? Omicron, right?
Omicron, yeah.
In that sequence, they earlier, at the early stage, they said like it's not so dangerous compared to the previous one. They said like this like under vision. So some country had affected a lot, but some country doesn't. So it depends upon those sequences. So for sure, medically you can prove them, but the question is like, how can you get these answers visually or without doing a medical test? In that case, then it will be like very good one, if possible.
The problem is, everything needs lot of data.
Yes, everything is lot of data, and
That is the problem.
BNN is very easy. We can
Yeah.
infer something. Even if we see some person from a front, we can still identify them from the back. But for ANN, it's not possible. They cannot do a mapping of these informations. So yeah, that's a limitation still we have. So I think in near future that limitation can be like removed.
Yeah, more data. I think if you have more bigger sample, then you can, I mean,
Yes,
guess more.
but the question
Correct.
now is now the researchers are working in more into the green computing things, so they don't want too many data. They want to uh, somehow generate new data using the previous data, so some kind of derivatives, so that they can work with a low data, less data. Yeah, of course, data having data, then it's not a great thing. Like you just have data, and you just train it. It's a supervised learning. So for unsupervised, in that case, like whenever there is a future case coming, in that case again your system is failing because that has not been known.
Every methodology needs improvement. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
so from previous data, you can
That's the
generate this.
question.
So something new should come.
Yes.
Yes, but in real situations like now, as I mentioned, like we are given a task to identify an object which has not been seen.
Yeah.
So that things like in near future we have to have some solutions where I think our human brain also doing the same way. Like we do not to have so many data, but still we are able to
Means
generate data.
more on unsupervised manner.
Yeah,
I mean,
correctly.
whatever knowledge we have prior, take some benefit of that and do it in unsupervised manner. Yeah.
Unsupervised. We can somehow,
Hello,
if it's
sir.
possible, somehow we can connect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hello,
hi.
sir. Good evening, sir. This is Asad Srinivaslu, working as in Blue Crest University, Monrovia, sir.
Yeah.
I'm working under Anupam Agrawal, sir, as a working professional. I'm doing PhD. So
Okay.
I'm working on this BF7 variant. Recently, I have collected the paper, sir.
Okay.
Is there any easy, other than UCI, Kaggle, GitHub, where can we get those BF point 7 images so that I can work it?
Yeah, actually, these images are mostly confidential for limited for those particular researchers. But of course, you
Yes,
can
sir.
write you can write to that particular author to get it. I can give you the name of few of the researchers who are working on this field. Maybe they can help you to, because most of the data are confidential to particular research institutes because they cannot.
I mean, we can think about some MOU if
Yeah,
required. So
that will
please
be
tell
good.
me.
So that's why I said like maybe I can directly write to them. Then he or she can give you a consent whether they can share it or not. If they can share it, then what is the procedure? So usually it's a little bit difficult because these medical images are confidential images. So yeah.
Yeah, but
Thank you,
maybe
sir.
for research purpose, we may have some MOU, and
Yeah,
we
of
can
course.
say
So
that it is for
that is
research.
possible. That can be done. So I'll find the right person to connect with you, and then maybe you can write to them, and then ask for the data, and then see how they react on that.
Right. So,
Thank you, sir.
a very nice interaction with you, and very. I mean, we have a lot of things we can work together in future, and
Sure, sure.
I wish actually you should plan some time to visit Prayagraj, and we can meet physically. In fact, we have something to, I mean, gift you, but virtually it cannot be. So we are keeping with you here, and whenever you visit, actually, we would like that you visit here and interact with your other teachers who were there at that time, Professor U.S. Tiwari Saab, Professor others. So
They're still there.
please visit sometime, and it will be good.
Okay, sure. Anyhow, like I'm seeing you after 10 years, like 2013, and now it's 2023. So almost 10 years I'm seeing you back. So it's good to see you, and I think it will be a great chance if I can visit you physically and then interact. Yeah. So thank you very much for inviting me.
I would
And
like to, I mean, thank you very much for devoting your precious time. And I know you have joined IIT Goa recently, so you might be having a lot of challenges there, new assignments in this, that. But despite that, you devoted time for interacting with our students. So it is great. And we wish your connection with your alma mater should be more and more actually in future. So with this, I thank all the participants also who attended this. And if you have any query, if you have not asked, you can send me. I will forward it to Dr. Sheetla Prasad, and probably if he finds time, he will reply to your query. So with this, I will thank again, and particularly Professor Krishna Mishra ji, who is always so encouraging. Actually, I really admire ki, she's always supportive to research, and in fact, she has given very good ideas also to. My research scholar also, who's working in this thing area, COVID related area. So probably he will further explore that. So thank you, madam, so much. And
thank you very much. It's entirely my pleasure.
Thank you. So thank you, Dr. Sheetla, and we wish that you continue to your cooperation, your connection with our alma mater, and keep on interacting with our PhD and MTech students. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you once again. Thank you, Krishna ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the invitation, sir.
Thank you, Piyush, for joining. In fact, I also thank you because you had given lecture last time, and with your connection, I could arrange this lecture. So thank you. I would like to thank you also for connecting Sheetla with me, and so that today he gave his lecture. Thank you so much. Keep in touch.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Gopal. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice to have. Thank you, Gopal.
Thank you, sir. How are you, sir? You, sir?
Fine.
Okay.
Hope you are going to submit your thesis.
Yeah, I am writing, about to complete it.
His actually open seminar is over. He is planning to submit in next 1 month or 2 months within that.
Okay, it's good. It's good. So try to join some university or other institution.
Yeah, I'm planning to. Priority is postdoc, but submission is required. So meanwhile, I'm also trying to join somewhere.
Okay.
I'm giving some interviews. So let's see.
It's better. It's better. You can go for the postdoc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All the best.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining today's talk. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.